The network marketing industry has changed dramatically in the last decade. With the advent of social media, digital marketing, the rise of the influencer, and all the tech platforms that promise something extraordinary, how do you separate the helpful from the hype? Welcome to Beyond the Network Marketing Dream, where authenticity and relationships, simplicity and duplication are at the core of everything we focus on. The fundamentals of building still work. Join us as we go beyond the network marketing dream.
Awesome, and welcome to the call. I'm with Hanieh Sigari, and the founder, CEO of Qyral. And just obviously in the pre-show, we got to talk a little bit. So excited about this interview. You are the entrepreneur of entrepreneurs. And I didn't get to ask a little bit about your mother, which I heard in the story. I almost have to start there, Hanieh, because my mom raised 7 kids by herself, kind of out, a father that was not really connected. And so she was the person that she's passed, but I just look at it as such a mentor, and you've got a story at a whole nother level, which is incredible. Could you kind of open with your mom, that relationship, and your journey to being an entrepreneur? That's a lot, but let's start there, and great to have you on the show.
I'll try to narrow down. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This is really exciting. And yes, so Iran I'll start there. I'll start with the 1979 revolution,
Perfect.
It's really interesting. It's timely because a lot of what happened in 1979 is currently happening in Iran with the protests, and people want a regime change. And, I guess Iranians are just revolutionaries at heart. They're always like here to disrupt and revolutionize. But yes, part of the 79 sweep, my mom was taken in and her roommates were all executed. There was 4 or 5 of them. And my mom was put on the execution list. And the part of the reason she wasn't executed was because she was not there when the first sweep happened. They came, raided her home, and she was down in the South to visit her family. So anyway, come back, she sees her home is vandalized, calls the police, and she's like, I think we've been robbed. The police arrest her, throw her in jail, and they're trying to gather enough documents against her to execute her. And during those 6 months, and oh my God, the conditions were awful. I mean, the things that she tells me, and she gets a little shaken up talking about it. So I can only imagine the trauma she must have experienced. But during that time, one of her classmates who was with the new regime sees my mom's name on the execution list. And he's like, oh my God, what is she doing here? Like, I gotta help her. And he knew my mom very well because my mom was a social worker and she was very active, sweet lady. I mean, like, who would want to kill this one? So he arranges a meeting.
Right?
I don't mean to laugh, but he arranges a meeting with her in prison and says, I'm going to get you out of here, but under one condition. And this is how I could vouch for you. There are all these women that were street workers, and they have a rapport with you because my mom used to do their health checks as part of working for the social service department. They're out, we've just sweep them up. We've put them in women's shelter. They don't know what to do with them. If I get you out of jail, can you come and run that women's shelter? And just like, of course,
Well, sure. Okay. Death, run the women's shelter. I'm in.
Yeah. So she comes, but during this time, 1980, we started the Iran and Iraq war started. So now you have these prostitutes mixed with widows of servicemen that are ending up in the same shelter. And at one point she had 300 women and they're clashing. Oh my God. It was just like, a free for all at this point. And you've got this young 20-something-year-old sweet woman trying to run. And so she's like, you know what? I need to occupy their time somehow. So she teaches them her skill of sewing. That was her, hobby and her passion. And little by little, they pick up all they had was time on their hands. So she goes back to the State Department and says, hey, do you think we could get a grant for sewing machines? I think these women have potential. And they're like, well, the war started. We need sheets. We need uniforms. Can your woman sew that if we give you sewing machines? It's just like, of course, just send it up. So without knowing a single thing about business. I mean, talk about resourceful and
Right.
without knowing anything, she sets up assembly lines and she starts, getting these women, the more skilled workers on this side and so on and so forth. And then after a couple of months, she goes back. She's running a factory at this point. It was supposed to be a women's shelter, but now it's a factory. She goes back and says, hey, I need these women to get paid. Do you, can you guys pay them? And they're like, all right, not a problem. We'll pay them per kilo of clothes or whatever they said. So after a while, a lot of these women, their skills developed and evolved, and some of them got better paying jobs. Some of them remarried, some of them moved out. Like, so that story was just, was so influential in my life growing up. I was like, well, my mom did for 300 women. I want to do for thousands and millions one day. That was really the story that touched me. And fast forward, we came to America. I was 7 years old, and my parents moved us into a 50+ community. Unbeknownst to them, they didn't know that. I guess those are the advantages of being an immigrant. So I befriended all the seniors in that community, and most of them were 70+. It was a 55+.
Gosh, right.
All the elderly were there, and that's really where my passion and love for the aging process started. So by the time I was in 5th, 6th grade, all my friends started to pass away, and I was devastated. I mean, if you could imagine,
that is so interesting. Yeah,
experiencing this much grief, and they just kept passing away, a month apart, and it was heartbreaking. So that's where the quest for finding the fountain of youth started. I haven't found it yet, but I'm working towards it. And
you're a biochemist, so you come from and it did that for that reason. That's how you chose biochemistry.
Yeah. So my undergrad was biology and psychology. So I was like, all right, I got the mind body connection, but if I want to do research, I have to go really under the hood and figure out what's happening on a molecular level. And then after I graduated, I was like, this is great and all being in a lab, but the people out there need me. I need to apply it. And that's when I started my home healthcare business, grew it, 600% year over year, and tremendous growth. And at the same time, we were running a e-commerce company, fulfillment logistics, with my husband. And, that one was taking off simultaneously. So I was like, I sold the healthcare business, and joined forces with him. And then after a while, I was like, this isn't really where I want to be. I want to impact people's lives. I want to change it. So took a year and a half off and decided what I'm going to do next. And that's where, voila.
So entrepreneurship has really come naturally to you. I mean, because all your mom did, she never even thought about it. She's just serving a purpose. And it sounds a lot like you did the same. You just saw the path and it seemed natural.
Yeah, well, I think it's just about being resourceful. You don't need to be a Wharton MBA. You just have to have the passion, and the skills will develop and come. You just have to wake up and do the work every day and ask enough questions. I think.
Now, what I find interesting, just reading, some of your input for this podcast, is that it read like you understood network marketing, but you come from outside the industry and just became a really good student of understanding how to create value to the distributor. That's what I read into it. At any rate, I was impressed by that. How do you think that came about, and how long have you been on the networking side? Is that just with Qyral? Was that the first company that used network marketing as a marketing methodology?
So when I owned the home healthcare business, I had 600+ female employees, and part of it wasn't a meritocracy. It didn't feel like, you advanced, the harder you worked, you advanced. It was kind of like, well, we're capped with insurance reimbursements, Medicare, Medicaid. And it really broke my heart. It was devastating. So that was part of my mission. Like, the next company I start, the harder you work, the more you can earn. What can I do to do that? So I was talking to a friend one day, and he was like, have you looked into like MLMs and network? I was like, MLMs, like cringe, those are schemes. No. Right. And I went and studied it. And when I studied network marketing as, as a category, oh my God, the potentials were unlimited. It's like, this is the first platform that really came out, and personal development is just inherently built into it. It's so positive and optimistic, and I fell in love with the model. So what I did do is I studied what is causing people to have such a negative reaction to network marketing. And
love that.
What is it? So that's what I really study. What is the failure? What's causing companies not to succeed and fail and so on? And, it comes down to like greed.
Purpose and value, right? I mean, when
Yeah,
it's all said and
exactly.
done, it's purpose and value, and people start chasing the money
Exactly.
instead of, and you've done a really good job. Yeah, I can see it in all your marketing. Like, you are here to deliver an incredible product. And I can't say that. I mean, I wish I could say that with everybody we interview, but you can tell it in your marketing and your, so anyway, what was your, I interrupted, but what was
No,
your
that's it.
takeaway?
Well, one, it was an industry ready to be disrupted, because the more I studied, I was like, oh my God, this is like enough with the collagen and the powders and, enough supplements. Like, it's ready to be disrupted with technology. And number two, what I loved about it is it's not a transaction with your customer. It's like your customer is now a voice in the community. You don't really get that in the e-commerce world. And I fell in love with it. So I think it was the culmination of these two things. It's like, wow, this is a platform to like communicate your message. So the impact I wanted to drive, I was like, this is great. How else would I do it? And then the other side was like, wow, it's ready to be disrupted, which is a great opportunity for me to come in and, do something that no one else is doing.
I mean, we can go so many directions in this call, but it is interesting right now in the digital world that we live in, that the average person is seeing 5,000 impressions a day. Everybody is knocking on the door. And the fastest way to cut through that is authenticity. It's this model built correctly, and how do you really bridge that, right? Is how do you, and you have to leverage some technology, but the model allows for people to be authentic and cut through that noise.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thoughts on that? I mean, yeah.
No, I just think the other brands, the big CPG brands out there, the Procter and Gamble, they're slowly like coming towards our direction. They're not going to call it network marketing, but now like Facebook ads, and Facebook is pushing down company, and they want content makers, right? They're promoting the content makers. So cost of customer acquisition is becoming very expensive. Facebook ads are expensive. Google ads, like all the, so then there was the next phase was really like influencer marketing, right? And that's becoming a little overplayed with everyone. So now it's they've been talking about nano influencers and micro influencers and whatever, but what that really is like Sally next door telling you, I really love it. And I recommend it to you. So that's really like all it is. It's not a nano influencer. It's like what we've been doing for 30 plus years or 50 years. It's like the rest of the world is starting to catch on, which is really interesting, right?
And it requires some education for your team to effectively win the day, because you have a product line that is very targeted to individuals' needs. It's not just a blanket, hey, take this and it'll fix your, put it in your gas tank, it'll make your car run better and fix your ingrown toenail. And like, it's a very targeted product. So how do you educate? Is that education part been difficult with the team, or do you see it as a strength?
So we as a company have taken on that role of doing the educating, right? So all our consultants have to really do is drive people to our website. We'll take it from there, right?
That's
so take
perfect.
that, having to teach them to talk about product and this, no, you take a quiz. And what's really interesting is we also have telehealth, right? We have a telederm service. We personalize the prescription grade products for the individual. We personalize the non-prescription product. So based off of that funnel, the quiz.
That's awesome.
That'll kind of guide you. And we're perfecting it every day. We're trying to do a better and better job of like recommending products for the individual's needs. And as the quiz and the machine learning algorithms really pick up and learn from customer behavior, we can fine tune things. And then from there, we tell the customer, hey, we put chamomile, whatever, so-and-so extract and this and that in your product because of XYZ. And hey, not only that, if you want to learn more about why we put it in your bottle, click this link. It'll take you to the scientific journal article so that you can rest assured that we're here servicing you and giving you the best of the best. This is not like some gimmick.
What if somebody wants to buy your product? This is a loaded question. They want to buy your product and they go directly to your website. How do you handle those people?
They want to buy our product, but
they hear about Qyral. They go, I want to buy this product. They don't have a rep or distributor in the field.
Right.
They go directly to your website. How do they buy the product?
Yeah, just take the quiz. And if they don't have a rep, we assign them to the nearest rep. We're doing that, or, on the back end. Because at the end of the day, you want that follow-up that the rep does, right?
Yeah. And do you do a discount? Do you discount the commission they receive, or how do you handle that?
No, we just give the commission straight to the consultant. Like, we don't
Listen,
discount it.
that was a trick question. I almost feel bad for asking it, but there are so many companies today selling against their field. It is shocking to me, and they don't understand that they're violating. I kind of knew you were going to answer it that way, but it was risky. So
yeah, am I not supposed to do that?
I threw it out there. No, they're selling against their field, and they're not paying. I mean, even if you paid a discounted commission, it would have been okay, but they're literally selling the product directly against their field, and sometimes at a discount. And I'm like, are you just trying to why have a sales team?
Right.
That's like, I know it's a business, but it's a family too. There's a relationship, and you destroy all the trust. So that's how important is trust, and how do you manage that as a leader? Clearly, you're somebody that understands your customer. At least it seems to me, your customer is the distributor. It's not just the end consumer who buys the product and serving them, but it's also this organization that you're building.
Yeah, I think transparency. I mean, we try to embed that in every aspect of you come to our website, every single ingredient, we have an ingredient page, every single ingredient that's in our product, you could click on it, you could learn what it's doing in your bottle, you could click on the scientific journal article, every update that we push, we're really transparent. I think if you could be vulnerable enough as a company to say, oops, we screwed up, and you contact, no, things are still a little clunky between our pharmacy and our, the APIs that were set up and so on and so forth. And there was a lot of hiccups along the way, but we were so transparent with our field, and we kept them in the loop. They were kind of part of it, right? Even the voting of like, hey, should we put this logo here or here? They're part of that conversation. So I think as long as they feel involved and valued, that they're what they're suggesting is valued and listened to, I think you're good. I mean,
what else is cool about your model? We're not here just to, I don't ever do this. Anybody that listens to our podcast, I'm not just pumping up companies, because it's just not the case. But one of the things I love about what you're doing is you've done so much research. You've got this really well-documented research product, and the competitive pricing is, the products are so incredibly expensive that you can compete on price, you can compete on value, and you can still provide a lucrative opportunity because the margins are better, because it's a product that is you're not selling milk or eggs, right? Where the margins are super tight.
Right, exactly. And another thing that we're doing, which we didn't even think would be like this huge value add, we're offering a dermatology service for an entire year for less than $50. And that's unlimited. You could go back and forth with your dermatologist as many times as you want. But what we're finding are like people in Mississippi, the nearest dermatologist, or, somewhere in out in middle America. Is that politically?
I think that's
okay. The middle region of America.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I've been raised on both coasts, so I don't know the terminology. But the nearest dermatologist is sometimes within 200 miles, and then they're not taking new patients. It's like there's a 7-month wait. So we're really adding service and value to a lot of our customers. It's like they don't have any other option. If they want acne treatment that's prescription grade, like they have to wait 6 to 7 months, whereas we're offering that at a very good price. Because if you were to get that from a pharmacy, it would have been $250. Right. We're compounding it just for you for under $75 and giving you access to a dermatologist.
That is awesome. So talk to us about the CEO role, starting a business from scratch, the CEO role. And you and I chatted a little bit about reinventing, like thinking outside the box. And what's your perspective there? What does the industry need to do to really look, and there's challenges in every industry. It's never going to be perfect, but what does the industry as a whole need to do to maybe get their act together a little bit. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say the CEO role, and everyone keeps telling me like the CEO role is really getting everyone excited and aligned, and and it's like that's great and all, but I was listening to an Elon Musk interview, and he's like, most of my time is spent in engineering and design. And I feel guilty a lot of times because I'm in the grunt, like doing the work, and sometimes working with our development team to like program new stuff. And it's like, I really enjoy that with the formulating. I go into the lab and I formulate with our formulation chemists. I've got my hand everywhere.
Yeah.
And I almost like, I don't want to pull it out, right? I don't want to just be this fluffy top person that's like, yeah, guys, we got this. Like, I want to be part of the heartbeat of the company. And I never want to separate myself from that. And I think a lot of people just think a CEO, especially in our industry, it's like this motivational speaker.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost like where my my sales executives, no offense, that's where they're pushing me. Like, honey, you need to be the brand. You need to smile and be out there and talk to your consultants. And I'm like, no, but I need to understand the business of the business as well. Like, I don't ever want to lose that.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever it's worth, I think you do both. They can take pictures of you. There could be quotes. There can be short videos that get repurposed, but that is where, I mean, it's the part I love too. From a technology standpoint with our company, I know what the struggle is, and I want to focus on product development, right? I don't want to, I love that you're focused on creating that value with the product, and you should be able to hire and train and get people to cover the other side.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think part of what our industry is really missing is technology. Gosh, it's so clunky and outdated, and the back end, it's like, come on, someone's got to do it well.
Well, I'm gonna place your podcast right in front of my friend Richard Sletcher, who we chatted about briefly before. Because I think he's going to change the game for technology in the space. That'll be fun.
Someone's got to do it. I mean, I came with the product. I was like, I'm going to disrupt the industry with products, right? But I need someone to help like the back end, and it's just a lot to build yourself. Like, I have no ambitions of building that out myself. I think our focus should be front end, customer centric. I need the help, guys. Come on, get it together.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to chat about some of that for sure. Yeah. So I mean, I love your story, love what you're doing. Excited to see the company. How old's Qyral now?
It's 3.5 years old, but I still think that we're like, I'll probably say this for the next 3 years.
We're scratching the surface.
We're still in pre-launch mode, right? Because we're still learning and we're evolving and we're growing. And
what have been the biggest obstacles? Let's close with some of that, because it's real, like business. I mean, I live it every day. You do. Is that there are challenges, right? That doesn't mean we don't stay optimistic and focused and excited, but what have been some of the biggest challenges for you as an entrepreneur in building the business?
Well, I think insecurity, it's if I could be totally honest, especially coming into an industry I knew nothing about. I started listening to a lot of people out there. Like, first things first, I came in, I was like, wait, Amazon is the biggest search engine in the world. Like, that's the first place most people go to search for a product. Why can't we list our product there and then put like the money that we sell it, and then we distribute it amongst our consultants, so everybody wins at the end of the day. And everyone's like, no, you can't do that. As soon as your consultants find out that you're selling through a different platform. And so we didn't do it. I listened to all the advice. And I come to find out at the most recent DSN event, they're talking about, oh no, you have to be on Amazon. If not, your distributors are going to post on Amazon and they're going to undercut you and blah, blah, blah. And the company, the product, the morale of the company goes down and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait a minute. But when I first pitched this, people like shut me down. And this has happened over and over and over again. And I think as a female in general, and in a position of leadership, I think there's a little bit of that imposter syndrome of like, oh, I don't know, maybe they are right. And I think like trusting my gut is something I'm really learning, and it's evolving. I've been doing business for a long time, and maybe the men out there don't quite understand as well as the women, but I think women do suffer from imposter. It's real, and that insecurity of like, am I doing this right? But I am learning to trust my gut, and I think that's an obstacle. That's a personal obstacle. But
I think that's valuable, is that there is uncertainty, and there are these patterns. Change is exponential right now. Think that the market we're in today is so different than 5 years ago.
Totally.
The people giving advice from 5 years ago, they have no idea, right? Yeah.
And I do find, no offense, but this industry is a little outdated. Like the type of I think the e-commerce world is a little bit farther ahead than direct sales, and we just have to catch up, right? We don't. I mean, I don't know the statistics, but off the top of my head, but as an industry, it's declining, right? The number. But like, it's like we need to stop thinking of ourselves as competing with other direct sales companies. No, we're competing in the gig economy. We're competing against Uber. We're competing against Airbnb, and we need to see what are they doing that's so amazing and awesome. How are they making it easier for people to turn on their app? Sorry, I'm really passionate about this. Turn on their app and start earning. Like, we need to figure out like how to do.
I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna freak out when you see what we're actually doing, which is one of the reasons, just very transparently with everybody, that we do this podcast, is to run in to people that are faced with that situation of the technology. All the e-commerce stuff is built for a one-to-many approach. It's like a digital marketer or the Kardashians or whoever marketing to the masses. And the technology where we have this distributed peer-to-peer relationship-based team, nobody's built technology to bridge these two worlds.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
And what are we going to ask distributors to go sign up for ClickFunnels, SurveyMonkey, a CRM, Aweber, an email broadcaster, and then they're going to try to get those tools to talk? You just killed network marketing. They can't deal with all that complexity. The tools work, but they don't duplicate. You can't build a team. Right. And so how do you bridge this? Right. It's a big problem that needs solved.
Yeah, no, totally. And we use Zapier for a lot of these like little mini, but it's still the capabilities of Zapier are just
well, that's exciting. Well, listen, we will do this again. Any closing thoughts to aspiring entrepreneurs, or any thoughts you want to share? And then also share, how can people reach you, the company, if they want more information?
Yeah, just I think the one advice is think outside of the box. Think and it's so interesting. It's like that Amazon example I gave you. It's like, why did I listen to everyone? Sometimes you know best. Like, trust your gut, trust your instinct, and go with it. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? You'll learn something, right?
So let me drill down for 1 second on that. How did you execute on that as an example?
We didn't.
Oh,
we haven't. And then now I went to the DSN conference and I was like, oh, so we should do it. Oh, okay. Now that everybody else is saying it's okay, we should do it. But it's like, why? And then another thing I'm thinking about right now is like, how do we create these, like, because what we're doing, we have the technology to really formulate each bottle, but adding these little robotic, like, have you been in Colorado? Do they have the Jumbo Juice robots? You go, it's a little kiosk, and the Jumbo Juice, like, it's a little robot that puts all the, and I was like, oh my God, we could do that just like that. So that's where my mind is. It's like, how can we innovate? How can we disrupt? And then, if somebody buys, we'll distribute that money amongst our consultants, right? So that everybody wins. How can we create an ecosystem that everybody wins, right? And so
there's this pattern, we'll go a little long here, but there's this pattern I see repeating itself over and over, and it's fascinating to me. And it happened. I mean, I was a leader in an organization. That's how this started 25 years ago. And I saw, anyway, without getting myself in trouble, I saw it repeat itself over and over. And here's the pattern. A company's got a great product. Some distributor uses digital marketing to start selling that product. They're essentially using digital marketing, but they're using the efforts of the entire distributor base that created traffic on the internet. And then as one individual distributor, they're capitalizing on it, which you can argue fair or not fair or whatever, but they're capitalizing on the effort, the digital footprint of the entire distributor base. The company puts them on stage, recognizes them. Everybody else gets mad. The company then wants to terminate them or hold their check because they're marketing digitally online to sell the product. And then the worst of the companies say, oh, we'll do it ourselves. So now we're going to sell against the field. Now the entire field is mad and they've disrupted the trust, when the one solution is just provide the tools to everybody so they can leverage the digital world, right? Collectively, and you support them in that effort. So anybody can do it. It's not one who happened to have $10,000 or $15,000 budget leveraging the rest of the field privately. It's not the company selling against the field. It's the company saying, we're going to get you the tools so you can go do this, right?
Right. Spot on. Absolutely. It's like empower everyone. With the technology that, yeah.
But the technology has to exist, which again, you pointed out, that's part of the problem, right? The technology hasn't caught up. If people, whether somebody's listening and they're with the company and they want to know more about the product or what have you, or they want to learn, I imagine you're not doing much on the consulting or training or any of that side for other companies looking for direction, but any thoughts there? Or how do people reach out to you?
Sure. You can visit our website at Qyral, Qyral. By the way, it's a chemistry term that means mirror image. So, and it's like a, mirror image, and the products need to be created for you. So head on over to www.qyral.com. And part of my mission is to educate people on longevity. That's where my passion is, right? So I just started this longevity mom page on Instagram. If you can follow me, I put little cute videos out. So support me. It's called The Longevity Mom. That would be amazing if you guys could follow. I would appreciate it. I'm not even sending you to our company page. It's like, come follow me.
I love it. That is awesome. Well, it has been so enjoyable and excited for people to get to hear this podcast.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. This is exciting. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Beyond the Network Marketing Dream with Patrick Shaw. For more insights on building a solid networking business, visit our website at rapidfunnel.com/MLM. If you loved our content, please share, like, and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode.